Hello and welcome to the Comic Conspiracy, episode 365 for the week of August 14th, 2018. My name is Ryan Higgins, who's here with me this week.
Brock Sager.
And Charlie.
Oh, that's it. Oh, post-Bryce, it's just a quiet little podcast of quiet, down-to-earth friends. Bryce, we miss you. He should be on his way up to his new home and outside of Portland.
We wish him the best.
Yeah, and Bryce will be back soon. So for all the big Bryce backers,
I just have to package up that box that's in the back for him, and
yeah.
his wife's
The Green Lantern.
Wife's gonna go, "What the f is this?"
He's like, "Hey, I moved. I can take whatever I want with me." So we're gonna talk to Bryce, keep in contact, obviously, and and hopefully in a few weeks once he's all settled, sometime. My plan is sometime next month we'll have him back on, at least via Skype. I know he's planning to come down here soon, so if you're listening,
maybe get those Bryce brieflies going.
Well, once he gets everything set up, that's the plan. That's the plan.
You mean when he gets around to reading all the comics he's had set aside?
That's true. Yeah, he's gonna have a lot of time, a lot of free time in his hands. So
hopefully,
so he'll be able to catch up on all his comics.
Yeah.
Charlie and I have kids,
Months.
so we know about free time.
Yeah,
You have to make it.
We have some sales charts for July 2017 to talk about. Would you guys?
So we'll just start with Batman.
Would you guys like to guess the top 10 comic books sold to North American comic shops via Diamond Comic distributors?
You don't
This
make
is
it
the
sound
estimate.
Batman 51?
There's a lot of asterisks in these things, right? So, Batman 50 and Batman 51 are both on this chart. Probably the furthest they've ever been away in a sales chart. Batman number 51 was the number 8 book at 111,000 copies. And, of course, Batman number 50 is the number 1 book of July with 440,000 copies sold.
Justice League?
No. Justice League number
that's
3
sad.
and 4 come in at the 11 and 13th. Okay. We'll get to the numbers for July in a little bit. July was a humongous month.
It was. Did Spider-Man 1 come out that month?
Amazing Spider-Man number 1, yep. The number 2 book at 289,000 copies. Big numbers for Spider-Man number 1.
Did that Infinity War hit it all?
Infinity War Prime did, but that's way down the list at number 18.
Okay.
Superman or Action?
Superman number 1 is the number 5 book at 133,000 copies. Action 101 was the number 12, or 1001, sorry, it was the number 12 book at 79,000.
It broke Justice League right down the middle.
It did, yeah.
So we got what? 1, 2.
You got 1, 2.
And 8?
And, Amazing Spider-Man number 2 was also on this list. The number 7 book at 113,000 copies.
So we have 1, 2, 7, and 8.
Let's start with 10 and 9. How about let's go backwards? 10 and 9, 2 different books, but similar. Both number 1 issues.
Oh, was it Tony Stark?
No, that was a month prior. That was a month prior, yeah. Number 10 is a spin-off miniseries.
Cosmic Ghost Rider?
Cosmic Ghost Rider number 1, 92,000 copies. That's the number 10 book. Number 9 is another number 1 book from Marvel. It's X title. New title.
Mr. and Mrs. X?
No, that's actually further down. Number 15 is 71,000.
What was the new X title?
Toby bought it. Well, he bought Mr. and Mrs. X too, but...
See, I can't see the shelf from here. It makes it very hard.
I don't remember what.
More recent character as far as X-Men characters go. Solo character. Solo
Domino?
title. Huh?
That wasn't Domino.
Nope.
X23?
X23?
Oh, X23.
X23 number 1. 93,000 copies from the number 9 book.
Doomsday Clock?
Doomsday Clock's on there. So number 8 is Batman at 51,000. Oh, sorry, number 51 at 111,000. Number 7, Spidey. So you're missing number 6. We'll hit Doomsday Clock in a second. Number 6, DC title. Number 1, solo character. Toby bought it. I mean, I bought it. You bought it. We all bought it.
Yeah, I probably bought it.
Same release day as Batman number 50.
Oh, Catwoman. Yeah.
Catwoman number 1 with that sweet art drum cover.
Oh, those sweet number 3.
Oh, my God.
Oh, Jesus.
That number 3 art drum cover is...
You already bumped your orders, right?
I mean, I haven't put them in yet, but yeah, that'll FOC is next week. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Catwoman number 1 is the number 6 title, 121,000 copies. Number 5 was Superman. Number 4, Doomsday Clock, number 6, at 135,000 copies. Man, people bitch about Doomsday Clock, but that thing just keeps selling. And our numbers have pretty much stabilized. Where we are now, I think, is pretty solid. I don't expect
I think
too much of a drop.
I think it's stabilized, and I think a lot of people are. I think we're going to see Doomsday Clock, at least in graphic novel format, sell very, very well.
Oh, of course. That's still quite a ways out.
Yeah.
Number 3, final book that we haven't talked about. Number 2 was Spidey. Number 1 was Batman. Number 3 is another Marvel comic. Another number 1 came out the same day as Batman 50. 87 covers.
87.
I'm joking, of course. But they had quite a few covers. Came out on the 4th of July.
Oh, yeah, Cap one.
Yeah.
Captain America number 1 at 167,000 copies. Lots of fucking huge books on this list. Other notable number 1s or kind of bigger launches. Life of Captain Marvel number 1, 74,000 copies again. That Art Germ bump. Teen Titans 20 was a number 16 book at 67,000. That's a new creative team, and that was the introduction of
that had what's his name?
The girl, Crush, Lobo's daughter.
Lobo's daughter.
A lot of hype on that.
It also had a what's his name for the variant. Greg Capullo. Variant on that one.
No, that was just Dark. Yeah.
No, but who
I don't remember. It's a good cover. So when Walking Dead is a number 17 book, the top 10 chart is pretty crazy. Justice League Dark number 1 was at number 22. Flash number 50 was at 23. These are very, very good numbers for these titles. Wonder Woman 51, even with that Art Germ cover, still couldn't get above number 31. That's disappointing. We ordered a shitload of that cover.
I want to know what the hell happened to the last issue where they took off the Mexico postcard on the...
Yeah, well, it's the same image. They just took off the Welcome to Mexico
part.
Yeah,
they took off the Welcome to Mexico postcard. I was like, I liked that whole image. And then they take that postcard out, and it's like, look, here's a bunch of sky.
Yeah. Magic Order, Mark Miller's new book from Netflix, number 53 book, 31,000 copies for number 2.
So the last issue of that will take forever to come out, and the show will be out right before that.
I don't know what they're going to do. I have no idea. And if first appearance of Galactus, True Believers, Fantastic Four coming Galactus. Man, I'm telling you, these True Believers sell. And number 76 book of the month, 25,000 copies. So that's
nice.
That's a good book.
Well,
so.
I think the True Believers are a good kind of, hey, check this key issue out that would normally cost you $50 bajillion to get, or you would have to track down some out of print, collection to read it. So it's like, it's nice that it's like, hey, here, it's a buck.
I just honestly love how all the True Believers look on your spinner rack here.
Yeah, they're cool. It's an appropriate material for the spinner rack, so we get all these numbers from Comic-Con over at comiccron.com. Definitely recommend you check these guys out.
They are not a sponsor, although they should sponsor us.
No, we sponsor them. We should sponsor them. I get a lot of my information from them. According to Comic-Con, both Marvel and DC contributed to combine for a dual market share of 70.69% of all comic books published in the month of July, the highest proportion of the market seen since October 2011, right after the debut of New 52. So humongous month, especially for Marvel and DC. They beat Marvel beat its own July 2017 dollar share by 16%, which is obviously quite a bit.
Well, that's pretty easy to do since that was that was after Legacy's.
Either way, I mean,
fiasco.
The thing that gets me about where we're at right now is most of the time when we have these insane months, it's because of a rebirth event or a this or that. I expect next month to be pretty insane too. So,
the last month has been just crazy with the amount of books that have come out. I mean, we've gone from having how many boxes to process on a Tuesday?
Humongous.
Yeah.
I'm like, tonight I made the comment of only 3 boxes to put out.
Yeah.
But I mean, a lot of what's been coming out is also really good books to have like a good quantity of.
Big stuff. Yeah.
As I said, it's kind of impressive to me that there isn't like one thing really spurring this. It's not like the big rebirth or that. It's just there's a lot of well-timed books one after another that's really helping the market right now.
Yeah.
Oblivion Song would have not cracked the top 10, but it would have got very close. I'm sorry, not Oblivion Song. Die, number 1, which is the free book given out by Robert Kirkman to comic shops. It would have sold more than 90,000 copies, but because it was given out for free, it's not on the sales chart. But that didn't stop it from placing place 174 because it did sell almost 10,000 copies in addition to the free copies that were given out.
Right, yeah, because
it's still available. You can order more if you want.
Yeah.
So they're really cool promo. Unlikely to see that again anytime soon.
I really enjoyed Die Die Die. I mean, I think that I think it was it's a different style. Like, it's a different book for Kirkman to write.
Yeah,
but I think it's something that's very, very. It's action packed. It's good. It's gory. Yeah. It's something that's like, it's just one of those just really fun books to pick up and be like, ooh, cool.
Yeah, yeah. So the comic units top 300 comics sold 6.93 million copies, which is up 11% from the same month last year. Total for the year is 45 million copies, so minus 4% from last year. That's
all
units.
I'm hearing is trees like crying.
That's
right
units.
now.
But if you take all comics sold by Diamond, everything, it's 7.68 million copies, which is up 10% over last year. So quite a few books.
What was the market share each for DC and Marvel?
I'm getting there. So in the dollars barely. Back down to the overall. There we go. So overall, all comic books, graphic novels, trade paperbacks, and magazines, dollar amount is up 10% for same month previous year. We're down 2% to year to date. But again, that's the next few months. We'll be up positive over 2017. And 2017 was a bit of a dip, so it's good to probably gain a little bit on there. Let me get to the top 300. Marvel had 95 books in the top 300. DC had 62, which is very low. Image had 46. IDW had 34. That's shockingly low, actually, from DC.
So, in terms of DC, since I know some of their books went from double shipping to single shipping and that kind of stuff, how much has that affected this, do you think?
I mean, top 300, DC was usually around 80 or 90 titles in the top 300, so they're down in the 60s, right? So that's a significant drop, but it doesn't stop DC from Marvel and DC both from having a huge month. Marvel's even pretty low. They're under 100 copies, right? 100 books. 45% of the units in the top 300 were for Marvel, 35% were for DC, 8.8% for Image, 3.39 for IDW, 1.47 for Dark Horse. So again, Marvel and DC just obviously continue to crush the top 10, or the top 300, I mean. But, yeah, no surprise. But it is, Marvel had 89 comics released this month. DC had 63. Image had 59. That's for the entire month. Not even counting, that's out of the top. I mean, 63 comics in DC is nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Well, this was the first month, like Charlie said, where some titles were cut back to once.
Well, they had... we were like at the tail end of Man of Steel and Superman and Batman. Or Superman was cut down. Teen Titans had I think Teen Titans was always once a month. I feel like
Teen Titans was once a month. Titans was once a month. It was
well, I mean, we had the Superman cut, the action cut.
Yeah, and those were shipping.
Yeah, but there's a lot of books missing.
Is Green Lantern down to once a month now?
No. Hal finished up, but that was this month.
Yeah.
But
Green Arrow cut back.
Definitely a lot fewer titles than you expect to see from DC.
Yeah.
In the top 300. So
yeah, because they count each issue as an individual title.
Well, and if you look at the amount of units shipped, the amount of dollars, and with that fewer titles, that's big. That's big sales. So big month for Marvel and DC, obviously. Kind of quiet.
I mean, it also doesn't help that some of their stuff has been delayed and such. So.
Yeah. There's not too much. I mean, I think it's you're unlikely to see.
When was the Justice League Cosmic, whatever that title was called, Odyssey? When was that supposed to ship?
It was supposed to ship in July, right?
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah. So that didn't ship. I'm going to have to go look at a list from the last couple months versus this month because, it seems like DC didn't ship like 30 titles or something crazy, or like 20 titles, which is nuts. So I'm going to have to really go back and look and see what didn't ship or what fell off double shipping. So big month, July, not a lot of books, but a lot of big books. So I'll be very curious to see what August, September are like.
Amazing Spider-Man was what, $6?
Yep, Batman was $5.
I'm
telling you guys, those people pay for those books, right? FF was $6. People are gonna.
Captain America was $6.
Captain America was $6. Yep, people are willing to pay for them. They definitely are. All right, we got a bunch of random news to talk about this week. Let's hit some of this before we get to some questions and see what else is going on. We had heard some stuff about Uncanny X-Men getting relaunched, and we finally got the creative teams and sort of kind of what's going on with them. X-Men, Uncanny X-Men is going to be X-Men Disassembled. So Disassembled again.
Oh, they're bringing that Disassembled stuff back?
It's going to be I believe, 10 issue? Yeah, 10-issue weekly story. So X-Men Black is in October. That's the 5-part weekly. Uncanny X-Men begins weekly with Disassembled in November by Ed Bryson, Kelly Thompson, Matthew Rosenberg, Mahmoud Assar, R.B. Silva, Yildiray Sinar, and Pere Perez. That's the writer and art teams on Uncanny X-Men. So much like Avengers, they're going to do instead of 4 titles, we're going to have a weekly title, right?
Yeah.
So for at least through November, December, and into January, which, that's fine. At worst, you're replacing the books that already exist, right?
Yeah, I will admit that I was looking at the cover that they showed for Uncanny, and it did not inspire me.
Yeah. I'm excited for what's on the other side of this arc.
Yeah.
Because I have to assume it's all the classic stuff coming back, right? I don't expect...
Yeah, because this is the Disassembled minis. Is it...
Well, he said it was 10 parts?
It's the first 10 issues of Uncanny X-Men.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully, because, it's supposed to be the sending the kids back in time.
Well, no, that's in Extermination. That's going on right now. No, it's all the teams, so it's red, gold, and blue. And, again, I'll read you the solicitation text. We don't have a lot of info on what the story is going to be. It says, this November, Uncanny X-Men returns to the new ongoing series. As it all kicks off with a massive 10-part weekly story, Disassembled brings together nearly every mutant left on Earth, in a story that threatens to destroy them, an epic tale of mystery and tragic disappearance with an adventure so earth-shattering it could very well be the X-Men's final mission. And it doesn't tell you anything, right?
Yeah.
It's just the X-Men that are left, I'm assuming...
the death of X was supposed to be the final thing.
I'm assuming it's
Extermination didn't kill him either. So.
Well, the Extermination's the kids, right? The kids aren't on
maybe
here.
Disassemble them.
I don't.
Are they using that crappy Disassembled logoing like they used on the old stuff?
In general, I'm intrigued to see what comes out of it, as Ryan said, just because if they use this to kind of dismantle what's been going on in the X-Books for a while and rebuild some more of the classic teams, like if you could have a new Excalibur book and all that stuff, I'd be ecstatic for what comes out of this.
That could be a book.
No pun intended. It's also Weapon X and the New Mutant Kids, the newer New Mutant Kids, and various other members of the team here. But the X kids are not in here, so clearly they're going back. I'm excited. Again,
spoiler: you just ruined Extinction for everybody.
I have to assume. Because I know they brought Professor X back in Astonishing, but he really hasn't shown. Has he shown up in any of the other books?
I'm so far behind. I can't tell you.
I read the early stuff where they kind of brought him back, but he wasn't completely back. But I dropped off of it. But, the Souls Astonishing wasn't bad.
No, I liked the arc with the Shadow King when they brought him back. But I'm.
Did he even appear in The Wedding?
I don't know. I don't think so.
I don't remember.
I don't. Yeah.
But
you mean the non-wedding that ended up being in a wedding?
You know what I mean.
But I don't know what they're going to do. And Cyclops, obviously, not here, but I assume Cyclops will be back by the end of this. So, Disassemble's cool. I'm hopeful it leads to some really good stuff. On a similar note, and we actually got a few questions about this too, which we'll answer maybe more in depth when we get to it. But there was a really crazy story this past weekend from Fan Expo Boston that John Byrne was at.
Boston,
where John Byrne's been doing this a series called X-Men Elsewhen. It's something he's doing on his own, on his private time, like on his website. It's not being published. It's just this like fan art thing that he's doing where he's continuing where he left off on Uncanny X-Men. right? And C.B. Cebulski, now the editor of Marvel, had apparently contacted him and said, let's talk. We should do this. We should actually print this, right?
Yeah.
Who knows? Who knows what's going to happen, right? John Byrne's like, it's a fun thing. Obviously, John Byrne left Marvel very angrily at this point, almost 20 years ago. And, I think it's unlikely that this will happen. I don't see Byrne getting back into bed with Marvel. He might, all right? I don't know.
Well, I mean, Marvel is so different in a lot of ways from what it was 20 years ago.
Right. And this is, let me get to some of the questions here, because I want to jump over to our questions.
98.
Because we got a few questions here.
Those are rough years when I do back issue filing, let me tell you.
Let's see, I had it here. Yeah, from Tyler. He says, how do you feel, or how do sales do for creators coming back to one of their big books like Byrne or Claremont, continuing where they left off for X-Men? Let me see, I thought I had one more.
Well, Claremont came back to do... Recently, Claremont came back to do some...
I mean, he's come back a number of times, and it never quite...
No.
And that's what I wanted to say about Byrne, right? I mean...
Those DC issues he did were...
It's everything. So you can read these 20 pages he's put up. The art is, it's fine, all right? It's okay. The writing is woof, all right? Ugh. So like Neil Adams stuff at DC,
that's the Neil Adams stuff.
like Jonathan Jr., like Frank Miller, there's going to be a segment of people that are like, sure, I'll totally buy this. This is my favorite artist of all time, right? And a portion of them will like it and continue to buy it. I think someone like John Byrne is completely disconnected to most modern comic book readers, right? Yeah. Most comic readers aren't going to care about new output by him, right? I mean, again, it's just comics are so beyond what he was doing at the time. I don't see, it would make an interesting first issue, but I don't think it would sell very well.
Well, I would. This is one of those few cases where I think it would be worth doing like a one shot and seeing how people respond to the one shot, and then
I think that would be smart.
Yeah,
because I could see a lot of people grabbing one issue. I just don't think people would be back for number two, because I think it would be terrible.
I also, and no offense to John Byrne or anything, but doing a monthly comic again, I don't know how.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe he could, right?
Maybe, and if he can, all the power to him. But I don't want to get into one of those cases where there's 4 months between issues, 3 months between issues, 6 months between. I would much rather see a one shot, see sort of the level of his work, and then if they can promote it properly, if it does well, and they show the interest and he's game, then do more.
I don't know what DC did with Neil Adams on the titles he worked on, like the Batman and Dead Man miniseries.
Yeah.
But I have to assume they give him a little bit of time to get a few issues in the can first. Marvel just doesn't do that. So a one shot is probably it could be a 48-page one shot, right?
Yeah.
40 pages. They can do it over double-sized issue, charge $8.99 or something stupid.
Well, the thing is also, a lot of times, like, these creators, like you said, coming back, these old creators, they have such a smaller pool of fans, and yes, people will be, I want to get that John Byrne, but it's like a one shot, or maybe just an OGN of that material would have been a better route than trying to slip single issues.
One shot or OGN is definitely the way to go. And if they do it right and really kind of capture the Byrne era and everything, I think it could sell really well.
It just picked up literally the next issue, right? He was writing it was 142, 143. I can't remember what the last one he did was. I can't remember the issue number.
I'll be the first one to admit that I prefer the costume designs back then. I prefer that's more of my X-Men in general. So,
but do you prefer the art and the writing now? That's the question.
And that's why I'm saying a one shot just to revisit a sort of era in time that I adore.
Right.
Is perfectly good.
He could do that. He could do an issue of FF.
Yeah.
He could do an issue of She-Hulk. All these little one-off one-shots, I think, would be a great idea. the audience for a John Byrne X-Men miniseries is, I mean, he left. He did what was it, X-Men Hidden Years, right? I mean, nobody bought it. It sucked, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter that it was John Byrne. Nobody cared. Yeah. So today is going to be people are going to care even less. Yeah. Again, there will be a segment of people that do, and if you're a big John Byrne fan, even to today, I'm not insulting you, but I'm just saying the market would not support a book like this. I don't know. Again, a little one-off, fine. Well, there was talk of, I mean, Claremont's doing one of those X-Men Black book. He's writing it, and there was talk that he's going to be involved in like an ongoing X-Men book, and I'm like, no.
Yeah.
Don't just. You can give him a little miniseries to do off to the side. That is, 10,000 fans will buy, but that's it's just not gonna.
Well, did you?
No
so
one's
you
gonna
brought
buy
up
it.
you brought up Frank Miller earlier when you were listing off some creators and stuff, and I picked up Xerxes, which is the continuation from 300.
Yeah,
and 300 was amazing.
Yeah, like 300 was really cool.
It was well written. The art was fantastic.
I mean, I just love the style of it. The big double sized pages.
It really, like 300 really hit home. When I first read it, like, man, I really enjoyed this. Like, this was kind of back to that Sin City Frank Miller. I picked up Xerxes, which just finished issue 5 like a week or two ago.
Yeah.
And, oh my gosh. Like, reading that book?
Yeah.
It's
can't imagine.
All over the place. He uses splash pages that you're like...
So, in terms of Dark Knight the Master Race, just because I'm going to go there now.
You went there.
Do you feel like he had much input, if at all? Because I know he was supposed to be like a creative consultant on that.
I mean, to the best of my knowledge, he co-wrote it. He at least plotted the book. He made. I don't think he scripted it, but as far as I know, he at least plotted the book, and he did the mini comics. Right, he wrote and drew those.
Yeah, and to me, that was the perfect way to use somebody like him now. Like, if you want to bring in Claremont to help plot and sort of rough draft of the script of what you want to do, and then give it to sort of a more modern writer to bring it to where we are now, I think that could be great. And I think, in some ways, somebody like Frank Miller and that kind of stuff work better when they kind of have a collaborator to kind of help.
Well, now they do. I mean, before they were a fantastic and they did amazing work. I mean, nobody will argue that Frank Miller didn't change Batman when Dark Knight Returns came out.
Yeah, and Year One,
and all that stuff. Like, those are fantastic books that have established themselves in comic book history. But now, right? I mean, it's the same thing that we got with. Oh God, why am I blanking on his name? Hush.
Jolub?
Yeah, right? Like, tons of amazing work from him, and then it just kind of fell.
Yeah, I mean...
but he's a very different case.
Yeah, he's a different case,
But no, I think a lot of these old school writers still have a place to produce content. I think... It's kind of interesting because writers hit a certain level where it's like they have no editorial, and sometimes that works, but then there's other times where it's just like, no, they really need editorial back on them. They really need somebody to sort of pitch the ideas to sort of keep them within a...
Well, I mean, Azzarello's a great fit for working with Miller.
Yeah,
absolutely. Just style-wise, they work well. Their styles mesh very, very well.
That's what I'm saying. If Claremont wants to come in and help oversee some stuff on the X books and help plot and script, and I think that could work out very, very well. I just don't necessarily want him to have sort of the final say of, I can do whatever I want.
Yeah, or give him, like I said before, give him his own miniseries and let him do his own book. So. Stan Lee, as we all know, has been less than perfect health recently, as he's 95 years old right now. I think it was
Excelsior.
This is last week. This is the week we were gone, or we're doing the Bryce stuff. His kind of handler at this point has announced that due to I'll make the exact quote here. In the last few years, his well-being has been compromised by people for monetary gain, and that practice is over. Stan Lee will no longer be doing any public autograph signings. There's apparently still going to be some level of, You can purchase autographs through Desert Wind Comics. I don't know who they are or what their relationship to him is, but there's going to be some level of he's still going to be doing some autographs privately. Who knows when or where for how much?
Now, is this the good handler or the bad handler?
I mean,
this is the current handler.
The new people.
The new people. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, mind you, what I'm curious is, does that mean he's still going to do con appearances for like photos, or does this mean he's done with cons?
I have to assume this is done.
Which is why I'm a little surprised they ordered it specifically for autographs.
Well, I mean, it does technically say. It does say autographs, so maybe. I mean, he may.
I mean, at the very least, I expect.
But even that, I don't.
He might still appear one day at Comic-Con or something.
He shouldn't, though.
No.
I mean, he could be there, but not for autographs, not for photos and stuff like that. Even they, like you said, when we did the one in Silicon Valley, like we'll let people anywhere near him. Like that's not worth it. So, This is as close as I think he is done. If you don't have your Stanley autograph, there's a billion of them out there. But you're not going to get one at this point. It's over, and it really it's for the best. Really,
I can't get my issue 215 Amazing Spider-Man signed.
I'll go through this Desert Wind Comics.
I can send something to them, and they'll do it.
I have no idea. So
I just want to say, Brock, don't let this happen to you. That's all I wanted to say.
He would never write that. He would sign his name. He never does anything else other than sign his name. So
stop killing my dream.
Yeah, sorry. So Stanley, again, this is a long time coming, and it should have happened years ago. Yeah, at least months ago, but definitely years ago.
Well, McFarlane stopped by this past weekend too.
And Mayfield was a few weeks before that. And
people are checking up on him, which is good.
And I mean,
you don't want
all
people to advantage of him.
Well, most of the photos that have come out from those meetings and stuff, he looks a lot better than he did.
Yeah, I mean, the one with McFarlane, he's he's holding the sign is who is this loser, right? Like, it's back to it's just you put yourself around people that care for you and you're positive and it makes just a huge difference.
Yep.
So why am I hanging out with you two?
Our last big
Charlie,
story.
I understand, but you?
Our last big story for the week. Again, this is something that happened last week. We need to talk about this. This is they finally cast Batwoman for the CW crossover. And
I'm not saying "oh God" because of who they cast. We'll get to why I'm saying "oh God."
Sure. Yeah. For there's the crossover that's going to be on Arrow, Supergirl, and Flash. No Legends. From what we understand.
Okay.
From what we understand, no Legends. Her name is Ruby Rose. She's been in a bunch of stuff.
She was in everything for
she did Expendables 2 or not Expendables. Yeah, was it Expendables?
She was in John Wick.
Oh, John Wick. Sorry, that's what I was thinking of. Not Expendables, Jesus. Yeah. But she was in Orange is the New Black, which is I know her from. Yeah. So, obviously, gay actress, right? So, Batwoman's gay. So, like every not straight white male on the internet, the second something is announced, a ton of people give them a ton of shit. She left Twitter shortly after I think she's on Instagram still, but she left a couple of her social media platforms after this went up due to harassment because a number of people said she was apparently not gay enough to play Batwoman.
That's the most stupid.
And also not Jewish and shouldn't play Batwoman. Now, my question that I wonder is, are these actually crazy outright trolls going after her, pretending to be, super liberal people? Are these actually just really dumb liberal people? I have no idea who's going, or is it just people trying to stir the shit, which is probably what's happening.
Yeah.
Whatever. Fuck those people. I don't care. I don't know who I would cast as Batwoman. I never have any idea, but she looks amazing.
She looks amazing. She looks the part just from random photos I've seen of her.
Yeah.
Typecasting, yes, she kind of looks the part, but that's fine. She's an LBGQ. LBG. I always screw that up.
That's fine.
She's part of that community, so she's playing someone in comics who is part of that community. That's a perfect fit for me. Right? Go for it, right?
Yeah. No.
One of the biggest things that I loved about Robert Downey Jr. being cast as Tony Stark was Robert Downey Jr. had his own problems, much like Tony Stark has his own problems in the comics. Yeah. So it's one of those things where, they need, that community needs more representation on the
I think
bigger
that's
small screen.
In general, the way I kind of look at it is, as one of you said, when they made the announcement, I'm like, I have no clue who they could cast in this role, and they announced her. I'm like, that is really perfect. Like,
well, and I don't know about you guys, but for me, it wasn't like, I'm like, they cast her, cool. All that was going on in my head was, are we going to get Renee Montoya now?
Yeah.
Are we going to get potential female question?
That's my hope.
Are we going to get some more maybe GCPD in the CW? Like, those are the things that like are running through my head.
Well, the fact that this is supposed to, I mean, they kind of into a potential. I mean, the potential new series in some cases.
Potential. It's official, right? It's
I know, but I guess the thing that I'm wondering is was a lot of stuff around it that was kind of they wanted something in place in case they decided to end Arrow.
Right.
To sort of replace that.
Fill the hole.
I've read a couple articles. It was on Comic Resources, and it's like they're like, despite no plans, they should end a few of the CW shows. I'm like, fuck no, keep them all going forever. Arrow's on season 7, and they're like,
you say that now, and TiVo is screaming because there's way too many CW shows.
So I have a kind of semi-different view of this. I think they should sort of shake things up a little bit. I have no problem with the idea of them ending Arrow, doing Batwoman, and then being able to use characters from Arrow in the other shows and that kind of stuff. Like, keep the universe growing and moving and fresh. I have no problem with the idea of them ending certain things. And Legends is a great example. They can work out characters, bring in new characters, so the show keeps going and stays fresh.
Other than Stephen Amell and Emily Felicity, right? I'm blanking on how to pronounce her last name. Yeah.
I just butchered whatever.
Most of the cast of Arrow's gone.
Yeah.
And Diggle, right?
Yeah, Diggle.
You could easily just put them on Legends if they wanted to end Arrow after season 7, right? That he could be a regular on Arrow, and they could be, a regular
Diggle
and Felicity could be,
Well, I think also, I think that we're getting to the point where it's not necessarily so this past year, CW gave us Black Lightning. Mm-hmm. And they gave us 10 episodes of Black Lightning, right? Like short season. Yeah. DC Legends is a shorter season. Their longer ones are, of course, Flash and Arrow and Supergirl. Yep. So it's like I think as long as they keep a healthy balance of full length shows and these kind of shorter season shows, like I'm excited to see what happens when they bring Black Lightning back for season 2.
I'll be the first one to admit, if they wanted to cut Arrow to 10 episodes do Batwoman 10 episodes, I'd probably enjoy them more.
Mm-hmm.
Well, look what they did with Arrow this last season, where they really just split it to 2 kind of seasons, right? 2 different plots. That would totally work if they wanted to do that.
Yeah. But yeah, the whole thing of the internet going like it's just like I don't understand. I don't understand that in the sense of like, I mean, I guess I mean, for me, I remember reading those casting calls in Wizard magazine, and it wasn't like it brought up a discussion between people, like, oh yeah, that would work perfectly, or no, that wouldn't, or maybe it would. Like people would discuss it more. But now it's like people just go, oh, I don't like that. I'm just going to garbage all over it.
Right.
There's an unprecedented access, and unfortunately, I kind of feel like the more people who I don't want to belittle the people who quit social media over this and whatnot, but in a way that becomes a validation for those people. Yeah. It's that sense of power. It's the who can I target next?
Yeah, who can I target next to get rid of them?
It frustrates me a lot that that's sort of where we're at now. Where
and the thing is,
it doesn't matter who it was, how they were cast. I mean, even Grant Gustin got some shit recently over like the leak pick.
What was the deal with that? He looked like normal, and then the picture came out of him in the costume. It looked fine. What was?
From what I understand, people were giving him shit for being too thin. Or
He's
something like
dude.
that. Yeah, I know. Which is why he put out a statement basically saying there are people who are naturally thin like me.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to say, he didn't actually say fuck off, but that's basically the way I read it. He said, fuck off.
How weird.
Yeah,
but it's the same kind of thing. It's the people look for something to obsess and target over. I mean, it's just the way it is. And the fact that there's some level of validation people find in making people quit social media and stuff that they seem to be enjoying is just really fucked up.
Yeah. I don't get why. Oh, also, by the way, Charlie, this is maybe the scariest episode of Batman the Animated Series.
Yeah, you guys have been staring at this the whole time, and I'm trying to have a serious podcast.
This is the episode with Bane where he gets like a triple dose of venom, and he like freaking bugs his eyes out like a Looney Tunes cartoon. He looks like Judge Doom from Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
That's okay. I can't wait to get it in HD.
I know, it's terrifying. Anyway, we have a bunch of questions here. Let's get to some of these guys before we wrap.
But are you guys excited for the potential of getting Renee Montoya and
whatever? Give me everything.
A full Batwoman series sounds amazing to me. Like, she's not that old a character, but she's got some really good mythology they could do.
Well, the thing is like that's a great way to bring in the GCPD, right? A little bit more with those characters.
Well, I mean, especially with Gotham ending, there's a lot of room for...
And it also brings in, what's the black skeleton guy?
Black Mask.
No, the other one. The one that
you're talking about the
Bones.
Bones.
Yeah,
and what's the... I can't remember the team. Like
the one from Chase, the one that they're using in Supergirl.
Yeah, DEO.
The DEO,
yeah. But I don't think they wouldn't bring that in. I mean, that's in Supergirl. But I don't think they could have their own version of it, I guess. But we have a bunch of questions here. First is from Beowulf Schaefer, longtime All-Talk listener, RIP All-Talk. He says, question, why haven't you watched Legion? I did. I watched the first season. It was decent. I've not seen season 2 yet.
I'm always talking about Legion. I love Legion.
Have you still watched the new season?
Yeah, season 2 is amazing.
It's not over yet, is it? Still
no, it's over.
It just finished? Okay.
Yeah, it's been over like 2 months now or something.
Has it really?
Yeah.
Man, I thought it was still going on.
No.
So I have the shows that I watch when they come out live, as close to live as possible, and then I have all my other shows that I kind of marathon through. So I'm finishing up Riverdale season 2 right now. Legion might be the next show. I have like maybe one before Legion, but Legion soon.
I'm just happy I binge watched the 2 seasons of Arrow 5 and 6, and now I'm caught up.
Yeah.
So I'm still behind on, like, I haven't done Riverdale season 2 yet.
Yeah.
But I am 8 episodes in of Cloak and Dagger now.
Oh yeah. Okay, so yeah, Cloak and Dagger, Runaways, Legion. Because I finished Walking Dead. I'm almost done. Riverdale.
Are you done with Walking Dead?
I'm done with the season, yeah.
But are you done with the show? Because I know you were...
No, I actually really like this season.
Okay, good.
So I discovered that I just don't like Walking Dead week to week.
Yeah,
I actually really like it when I watched 20 episodes or 16 episodes in like 2 weeks or whatever.
Yeah.
That's binging for me, right? Like I actually really liked it. I think I just week to week. And then you get that big break and everything like that. I'm just not going to watch it till it's all done.
Yeah.
The next season, it's a show that it just watches. Riverdale's me a little bit like that too. It watches better as a binge. I liked it better than I was watching it kind of season 1 when I would
Walking Dead is probably the one that I'm closest to giving up on right now because I'm really, really behind, especially when you count Fear also.
Oh, I don't.
You watch Fear?
Fuck Fear.
I was watching Fear.
Terrible.
Oh, Charlie, don't do that to yourself.
No, at this point, it's just.
We need to have an intervention. If Charlie's watching Fear, we have to
watch
intervene.
stuff when my kids are asleep or whatnot is very limited.
Yeah, just give them those natural sleeping pills.
I don't have the interest in keeping up with Walking Dead right now when I could spend my time watching all this other stuff.
I know. Yeah.
So, definitely excited to start Legion. Yeah, should be soon. It's from Brandon. He says, when did Green Lantern lose the ability to phase through walls, or did they still do it and I missed it? Green Lantern phase through walls?
No.
Nah, Flash does.
Flash does, yeah.
There could be some like random old Silver Age book. I don't remember this being like a regular thing for the Green Lanterns.
If it's a green wall, can they go through it?
No, but I mean, they used to do...
Like make their own walls?
Trying to think. They never really had the ability to phase through walls. I know they've done stuff with their rings where they could kind of open and close stuff behind them.
Yeah.
And stuff like when they rip open into a spaceship, they don't immediately suck everybody out into space normally.
Yeah, I don't remember them being able to go through walls. Again, Flash can. You can run through stuff.
Flash fact.
I mean, it's entirely possible when Hal was pure energy, he could do that.
Yeah,
maybe.
Maybe he did do that when he's pure energy.
Yeah.
Brandon also says, why is 0 Hour so underrated?
I love 0 Hour.
Yeah.
It is not underrated on this podcast.
I think it's underrated. I wouldn't say it's underrated. I'd say
you're right. The 0 Hour is amazing.
Yes, I think it's rated just fine in comic history. It's never going to be the biggest or
That's
most
okay.
popular
I still
event.
want an omnibus.
But I really like 0 Hour. Yeah, 0 Hour.
And they put out the stupid hardcover that wasn't even deluxe size.
Yeah.
I'm still upset about that. I want a 0 Hour omnibus or at least a deluxe size of 0 Hour.
With all the tie-ins.
Yeah.
Again,
I read it a long time ago. I don't remember it. All I remember is it's everything whites out.
0 Hour was great.
Yeah.
The whole
Parallax.
Yeah, Parallax trying to rewrite history, and I loved all the tie-ins. I loved like Barbara showing up in the Batcave, and like that was a really fucking good event.
Yeah, it was really fun.
I hate those 0 issues though.
Well, it's so they did handle the 0 issues plus the 0
Well,
Hour.
but the 0 issues were like after the event when they kind of reset the universe.
And then there were the
stuff.
random 0 Hour books in the actual run of things.
Well, the 0 Hour series, I liked that it went backwards. It was like 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Yeah, that's fun. I like 0 Hour. Yeah, again.
I want an omnibus. If you're listening, DC, give me that omnibus. I know you've been putting out all these trades recently.
7 Soldiers of Victory omnibus this week.
I know.
I got it.
Well, it's in my box. You know how you were telling me I have too much stuff in my box right now? That's one of the things in my box.
Crisis on Infinite Earths
You
is
have
such
3 things in your box. It's an omnibus. Your box is full.
Crisis is such a big book, and then really most of the events up till Identity Crisis or Infinite Crisis.
Invasion?
That's the start of like, what? Invasion's awesome.
No, it's not that great.
Those are sort
Millennium.
of those are the more recent events, right? So I think those are viewed a little bit differently. 0 Hour is sort of caught in that 90s era where none of the events really caught on. I mean, they were big, but at the time they weren't like. I don't think they're remembered today the way Crisis is. But
well, yeah, but I think it's still one of those things where I'm curious to see how things are remembered 10 years from now or whatnot, because I kind of feel like, look at all the Marvel big events. Mm-hmm. When we start listing them, a lot of them, we're always like, what are we forgetting? Because it's really easy to kind of blur certain things together, where like there's ones that really worked, like Civil War and whatnot. But because of all of them, it's very easy to kind of just...
I put Identity Crisis and House of M as the start of like the modern day events, like the modern comic.
But in after Crisis and like Infinity Gauntlet and that kind of stuff, you still had events going on that were line wide stuff, and they were all fine. But there's only room for like that first one that really sort of set the tone for what you could do in that stuff.
Yeah, DC had like War of the Gods and Invasion and Millennium. Yeah. What else was there? Legends. Well, the Legends wasn't really an event. That was just took place after Crisis. Pre-Zero or Final Night. Huh?
World War III? Would that count?
No, that was part of 50. That was part of the 52.
Oh. No. The one I'm thinking about isn't World War III. It's War of the Worlds.
Our World's at War.
Yeah.
Our World's at War. Yeah, that was pretty good. Yeah. I like the
Bloodlines.
Bloodlines. Yeah, that was an event. I like the 0 Hour to Final Night.
Yeah,
because that's the wrap up of Hal's Parallax story.
And if they put an omnibus with basically everything from if they gave me a like Emerald Twilight to 0 Hour to Final Night omnibus,
I'm surprised they haven't.
Yeah,
I'm really surprised they haven't.
All that stuff. I love all that stuff.
Everyone listening, please at DC Comics to tell them exactly what their graphic novel department needs to be putting out.
Ulysses says, hey guys, hope you guys are enjoying your summer. Since Batman Damned is around the corner, that's by Lee Bermejo.
I'm just scared of
I'm super excited for it.
Brian Azzarello. He says, what's your favorite between Batman Noel and Joker, which Joker was Brian Azzarello and Lee Bermejo, and Batman Noel was just Lee Bermejo, right? So I actually never read Noel. I read Joker.
Noel was good.
I read Joker. Joker was great. That was both original graphic novels.
Noel was the
sort of Christmassy
one with the.
But I mean, it had the same version of Joker in it, and like it.
Was Joker the one with the henchman? Or was that Noel?
Don't.
Because one follows the Henchman.
I don't think it follows. Noel did not follow Henchman, as far as I recall. It's been a long time since I read it. I don't
even know if I read Noel.
The Joker was pretty good.
Joker was really good. I really enjoyed Joker. Just the way he draws Joker in that.
Yeah, it's great.
It's really. I mean, I think that was a lot of the inspiration for what we got with Heath Ledger's.
Well, it was in tandem with it. Yeah.
That's okay. I'm really excited for that Batman Damn book.
I hope it's good. Ulysses also wants to know what's your favorite Harry Potter movie. Got a favorite Harry Potter movie?
The one with David Tennant, whichever one that one was.
Which one was that?
I don't remember. It was like the third or fourth one.
I've seen them all once.
Yeah.
I saw
number 4.
I saw number 4 in the theater as the first one I ever saw. I was like, that was pretty good. And I watched 1, 2, and 3, and I was like, those are pretty good. And 5 and 6 were pretty bad, and 7 was awful, and 8 was fucking terrible. Is it 8? Is that the last one? 8?
8 is part 2.
Yeah, part 2. Yeah. Those are bad.
So basically how it goes in the movies is much how it goes in the books. The first 4 books are phenomenal, with the 4th being the best.
Yeah.
The 5th book is a pain in the ass, and it starts the downhill drop. And 6 is just kind of you're in free fall, and 7 is you're like, okay, just finish it up already.
Really terrible.
So I don't even remember if I watched the last one.
Oh, I know I've watched them all, and I remember being kind of excited that David Tennant was in one of them.
Norman asks, did Oblivion Song ever go to a second print? No, it did not. I know they massively...
Do you need a copy?
I know they massively overprinted the book to meet the demand. Did it live up to the high power sales in your shop and nationally? I went way too big. Sales would have been perfect had I ordered what I originally ordered. I then reordered, and I didn't need those reorders. Yeah. But it's still a lot. I mean, and it's still a good seller.
I mean, the thing is I recommend this to people all the time.
I think I'm selling more Oblivion Song than Walking Dead right now. Our Walking Dead numbers are really dropping.
Yeah. I mean, I got to read the advanced trade that we got before it came out. Yeah. So I have been super stoked behind Oblivion Song. So if you have not checked it out yet, do so. Well. It's really, really good.
Yeah.
You can order them on comicsconspiracy.biz.
Oh, there you go. We have many copies.
But
the only printing.
Yeah. And I'm super stoked because issue 6 just came out. The trade for number 1 or the first 6 is out next month.
Now it's
and
all
I'm going to have new Oblivion Song material to read. So, no, I think it's definitely something that if people like Walking Dead or like Kirkman's style, especially since Invincible is done, it's something you should definitely be checking out. Man, I'm plugging his books like left and right this podcast.
Cisco says, which is worse for a book or a line, an editorial mandate direction from the top down or bad writers? Both Marvel and DC have had their problems over the last couple of years. New 52 to Rebirth, post-Hero Wars to Fresh Start, which is more likely to torpedo a book or line?
Editorial.
To me, it depends on the situation. I mean, editorial mandate when it comes to doing certain things is great. When it comes to I'm going to micromanage your story,
right? That
tends to ruin it.
Yeah.
I mean, bad writing doesn't matter how good the editor is. Bad writing is bad writing. All right, it's just not gonna. It's just not gonna work. I mean, there's subjective bad writing, which people are like, that's bad. But it's like, no, it's actually fine or great.
Yeah.
No, but I mean, there's plenty of times when I'm like, how did this story get past editorial?
Right. I was thinking about Secret Empire. Right. The overall idea of Secret Empire is actually really cool. The execution's poor. Is that editorial? Is that writing? I don't know.
Marketing?
Is that marketing? Right.
Yeah,
that's a weird thing. I don't know, but it's a great idea.
I think it comes down to, it just depends on, it also depends on the community that you have within your publishing house, right? I mean, we saw back, DC has their DC summits and everybody gets together to collaborate and talk.
That's editorial, and
it's the creators and the writers, and everybody's getting together and talking and stuff. So even if somebody's maybe not necessarily a Jeff Johns or a Tom King or a Grant Morrison, they're all still there doing a job, trying to put out the best that they can put out.
Yeah, of course.
Well, and to me, that's one of those things where the first thing I thought about this would be depends on how you define editorial.
Yeah.
Because one of my favorite things about Rebirth wasn't that Johns was writing all the books or whatnot, but he worked with each of those creative teams to kind of help plot out where, make sure the characters stay true to the characters, which is part of what I kind of feel like editorial should do. They should be able to kind of step in and be like, let me help you talk through this and make sure that what we're doing with the book makes sense from a overall perspective.
Yeah.
And then let the writers go do what they do. And that's where I'm like, if you count that as editorial, if you count Jeff Johns as editorial for Rebirth, then I think editorial has a huge place in making stuff successful.
Well, his last question here, which is more likely to torpedo a book or line. A book is about a writer, a line is editorial, right?
Yeah.
I mean, no good writer is going to save a terrible editorial mandate, right? Yeah. If you're just like going against the basic nature of the characters, right? Yeah. Look at, no writer was going to save most of all new Marvel now, and they're it doesn't matter. Mosaic and Slapstick are just not going to sell. I don't care who the writer is, right?
DC's New Age of Heroes
and New Age of Heroes, exactly. DCU, right? It just some great books, but it just didn't sell, right? And some terrible books that didn't sell.
So the flip side of this for me, especially when it comes to ruining a great run, for me is the Straczynski Spider-Man with Sins Past, where editorial came down and made him change the story where it would have worked better with the original story. Not that if editorial didn't want him to do that particular story, they should have just not had him do that particular story.
Yeah, so I'm curious, actually, based on this question, it brings up the Justice League Odyssey. Like, what's up with that?
I don't know, but they're redoing the whole book, so hopefully it's good, whatever happens.
But, I mean, even that, there's an interesting case here where there's a lot of people working on the same thing. Because, I mean, from what we understood, or at least from what I understood, Scott Snyder helped talk to all these different people. Like, he wasn't writing all the books, but he kind of had this overarching vision.
It's the Johns kind of.
Which means there's sort of three people in play here. The actual writer, the sort of architect in this case of like Snyder, and then editorial. And it kind of seems to me like if the architect was sort of how is Odyssey where it's at now? If it made it past all the stuff with Snyder, just have editorial came in and radically, because doesn't that also impact the other books?
Yeah, I think too.
From the overall vision. Yeah,
there must have been something weird where they were using a character that Group B didn't know about or something. That's the only thing I can think of.
Yeah, it's really weird.
All right, more questions. Bring them.
It's from Bennett. It says, have you ever read the first issue of a new series not from the big two and knew right away it was going to be a huge hit? If so, what part of the book made you feel like it was going to be popular? Do you think we'll see another one soon? Think Walking Dead or Saga?
I mean, I remember reading the first issue of Velvet and thinking it was amazing, and I suggested that to everybody and whatnot. Yeah. And to me, it just kind of had to do with the feel of it being very in that sort of like James Bond wheelhouse. Like anybody who likes that style of movie and being able to literally sell it as sort of like, this is the Moneypenny book and that kind of thing, I think helped that book a lot.
I remember a little while ago I read one of the best first issues I've ever read. It was called Non-Player Number 1. Old school podcast fans can go back and listen to like episode 2 or was it even 1 or 2 or 3 or something? Our very first
really
episodes.
Early,
we cursed that book. Yeah, sure, it happens. I don't know if recently. You know what? Recently, I've been, again, my reading for indie stuff is almost entirely trade only.
I'm a little shell shocked, unless I know the creative team on indie books at this point, just because there is nothing worse for me than being like, I really like this book. Where's the next issue?
Yeah.
And there's so many books that either never have a next issue or it gets so delayed that...
You heard a number of Image books are now going... They're just ditching the last issues and they're going trade only, right? So, sorry, let me rephrase that. A couple Image books are going trade only after their current arc. So Moonstruck... I think Rat Queens? I think I read Rat Queens is going trade only. A couple books from...
Please don't say Manifest Destiny.
Not.
I just want hardcovers for that.
I know.
Waiting long enough.
Jesus, I want my hardcovers.
Vault. Vault had a couple books where they're like, we're just not going to publish the last 2 issues. We're going to do the trade only. It's like, are you fucking kidding me? Yeah, like, at least with the image stuff, it's like, well, okay, I guess you're just not going to. Oh, no, it wasn't Rock Queens. It was Motor Crush. That's what
so, like.
Oh, maybe it's Rock Queens too. I don't remember.
Not publishing the last issue or 2 is stupid. You should definitely
shockingly stupid.
You should definitely publish those, and then if you want to go for futures, just trade only.
Yeah,
that's perfectly fine with me.
Yeah,
but don't fuck over the people who have been supporting the single issue market for your books.
Yeah. Well, I think that a lot of stuff. It's like Port of Earth. I read Port of Earth. I enjoyed it. In issue 1, but I was like, nah, I'll just wait for the trades.
Yeah.
It's because there's just so much material coming out that, that big book that's a saga or Walking Dead is just, it's too far and few between.
Yeah.
I
read Walking Dead in the compendiums. Yeah. I don't even pretend anymore.
Like, East of West was really good, but it's delayed between issues. It takes
How's
forever.
Dying in the Dead?
Yeah. What?
How's Dying in the Dead?
What book are you talking about?
How's what's the other one?
Secret Service. No, it's not Secret Service. What was the other Hickman book?
Black something, wasn't it?
Black Monday Murders.
Black Monday Murders. Yeah, how's Black Monday Murders gone?
What about that Sacred Creatures book?
Oh, jeez, yeah. That's just such a. Like, I have no interest in even touching those until they're done. Like, Hickman is. Yeah. I wouldn't even look at a Hickman book till it's complete.
And as I said, it for me depends on the creative team if I'll even look at the single issues now. Now, mind you, when a nice hardcover comes out, and I'm like, okay, that must be good because it made it to this issue and got a
Lazarus,
hardcover.
I really enjoy Lazarus, like Greg Rucka.
That took a huge hiatus.
And
someone told me they're only doing graphic novels now. They're not doing any more single issues. But I did not see anything about that. But someone,
as I said, it's
news to me.
If you're going to have these huge delays, I'm perfectly fine with just waiting for hardcovers or graphic novels or however you're going to do it.
Well, it's this real kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't, chicken and egg thing where they're not selling in single issues, so who knows if the trades are going to come out. But it's great that something like Motor Crush thinks trade 3 is going to suddenly propel the series in sales. You're just not going to have the single issue sales. So the trade sales aren't going to be any better than what they were. And whatever you sell of...
But do you feel... So it's definitely, as you say, a chicken or the egg thing. But in theory, the trade sales should get a boost if people are reading it in singles and they want to keep reading it.
I don't think they're going to. I really don't think they're going to help their sales.
Well, because the thing is the problem is you're going to have
a trade that comes...
Yes, shut up. You're going to have a trade come out, and then what? Hopefully 6 months later we get another trade?
A year at least. It's not going to be 6 months.
That's the thing for me. I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing if it means that it's going to be easier to support. Because if you have a 4-month gap between single issues, that next single issue is going to hurt for most series. Versus if you have a decent sized stack of it, and it doesn't work for everybody. It has to be the right creative team. It has to be the right like. I'm not saying Saga should switch to this, but if Saga switched to this, it would be fine.
Well, I assume what's going to happen is the single issues break even or lose money for Image, and the trades are where their profit is. So they're just going to cut their loss and not even worry with the singles, and they're just going to sell the trades. They'll sell exactly as many as they did before. They're not going to sell. I don't think they'll sell any more, but maybe 5%, 10% more. I think people just won't buy them.
Well, they're going to have to really stick to that.
Because in case like Motor Crush,
intro price on the first trade. With that $9.99
No, they already dropped that.
No, they still have them on a couple of them.
But they've dropped that as a regular thing. A book like Motor Crush, the people that get the singles, I'll ask them if they want the graphic novel. The people picking Motor Crush here are single people. They're not graphic novel people. I've sold a couple of the graphic novels. I'm selling a ton more. Even books like Saga, I sold more of the singles than the graphic novels. Volume 1, I've sold way more graphic novels, but Volume 8, I haven't.
But do you think that the people reading Saga are going to give up on it if they can't buy the singles?
Some people will. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, this is a numbers game in a lot of ways. The question isn't necessarily if some people will. The question becomes, will you sell an additional 5 copies even though you had 10 subscribers, or will it be
I don't know.
Like what is the actual?
I think it's a net loss.
drop-off?
I think it's a loss no matter how you look at it. I think they will sell fewer comics. Period. I will sell fewer comics. Period. I think that I don't. They're not going to sell more. At most, they break even, but I don't even think that's possible. I think they'll sell less.
If it's a matter of cost of printing the trade versus the single issues and that kind of stuff, where it was either a loss or breaking even on the singles and bumping up even a small percentage of your trade.
Well, and that's what I wonder. I mean, if they're literally just breaking even on the singles, then it makes no sense to publish single issues, right?
Yeah.
But I think it's just going to put less eyes in front of the stuff. And
But with image titles, you have so many that are maybe not necessarily people are going to check out because they don't know about it or whatever. And
to me, it will just end the collector's market.
For some of those books, yeah.
Well, the whole idea of are people going to run out and buy the new issue 1 of this if Image stops doing issue 1? Like, you're not going to get that on the trades. You're not going to get that initial bump of.
Well, I mean, you're not going to order 30 copies of volume 1 of a trade of something that you have no clue if it's any good or not.
See, they should just put out issue 1s of everything with like a little coupon for the trade that will come out.
Yeah. I'm looking to see if I can pull up.
But I think going back to Oblivion Song, with them actually giving us a trade in advance to read, which gives us the opportunity to know about this product a lot earlier, and we can upsell it more. I think that.
So Motor Crush did not even have a top 750 graphic novel via BookScan in 2017. So that's less than 4,000 copies sold that way. I can look up. I highly doubt it's in the regular sales charts. So they're selling as many of the singles as they are the graphic novels, or probably less of the graphic novels. So I just don't. I don't. Again, they have the numbers and the money. They know. I just it doesn't make sense to me. Mm-hmm. But I wish them good luck. I hope it works. I feel sorry for the readers. So
well, because I can say this for sure. It was really. I understand why they did it. But it was kind of annoying that last issue of Fables was also a trade.
That's fine.
I mean, it's fine, but
fine.
it's slightly for like the collector of like, oh look, I have all these, and then this ginormous trade at the end. It's like,
Etrigan asks, generally, how have Marvel sales been now that we're several months into CB Cebulski's reign as EIC? I'm actually buying more Marvel now that I have in a while. Cheers. Our Marvel sales are way up. And I don't know how much is Cebulski. I don't know how much of this was already planned. I have to assume Fresh Start was mostly his idea, and I don't know. For when Alonzo left, some of the stuff could have already, or when he was forced out, some of this could have already been in motion.
Wasn't Cebulski supposed to be an interim?
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Originally.
Yeah, and I
don't think he's interim anymore.
You get interim for a year or two, right?
Well, I'm just saying I don't think they're going to replace him if he has success behind.
Right.
If he's corrected the ship this much, I don't see them wanting to shake things up at this point.
Yeah. But sales have been really good for Marvel for us recently. Yeah, way up. Alex says, I always love the long podcast episodes for my long commute, so how often should we expect 1 hour long episodes now that Bryce is not there to make it 2 hours? We're usually an hour and a half is roughly my spot I like to aim for. And so when we get to like 2:15,
your eye starts to twitch.
I'm very tired. I want to go home. So, hour and a half is usually.
That's okay. We're over an hour this week.
I know. And final question.
See, now we jinxed it because he's like, I'm going to get out. I'm going to do a last question.
Final question for the week.
Even though there's like 6 more.
No,
that's okay. He still has to read the outro that will take another.
Yep. No, it's the last one. This is from Comic Boom. He says, Boom. Do you guys find Justice League confusing with its 7 different forces, only 2 of which are currently known? Flash with the Speed Force, Strength, and Sage Force, or Metal with its 10 medals? Is DC lore becoming too convoluted? What do your customers think? Well, I don't know what my customers think. They all buy Justice League, so I'm sure they like it. Look, it's funny. I actually had a conversation with a customer about this earlier today, less specifically about Snyder, less specifically about DC in general. Less generally...
I don't know what you're trying to say.
Less generally about DC and more specifically about Snyder. There we go. That's what I was trying to say. Obviously, I love Scott Snyder. I think his Justice League run has been a little bit more big idea. I think Grant Morrison JLA run. He's introducing a ton of new concepts, a ton of stuff in Metal. A little less in the character end, which is fine, right? And I love the big idea stuff in Justice League. I think that's where it should be, right? So it is a like the is it the Slow Force?
Yeah.
Yes.
Is it Turtles thing, right? So the idea is great.
Baby turtle, right?
Yeah, the idea is awesome. Does anyone pick up with this stuff and run with it? No pun intended. In other books, right?
Well, if you look at Snyder's track history with expanding things, what he did with Swamp Thing, where he kind of introduced.
Well, that was Swamp Thing, Animal Man, and
Swamp Thing, Animal Man,
with the gray,
with the gray and stuff, and then Charles Soule picked it up and just ran with it. Like that stuff is amazing. What Johns went and did, expanded the emotional spectrum.
Yeah,
because I think what it does for not just the character there, the character or characters, it allows for just more to happen. In those, stuff.
But that stuff, at least right now, feels well defined.
Now that stuff's well defined, but at some point it was not well defined, and that's what we're kind of in the process.
But even like the concept of the different emotional spectrums, that was easy to understand from sort of the Johns. I get that the Slow Force right now, when you also had the Anti-Speed Force and all that, there's a lot of weird new forces kind of in play.
I feel like
I don't know how many of them are going to stick around because they don't seem to have this is really how this works.
Well, someone else needs to use it. That's what I was saying. What's his face on Flash right now?
Williamson?
Joshua Williamson. The stuff he's doing in there. It's cool, but it's not really affecting anything else, right? The stuff in Justice League is not affecting the Flash book, really. They're kind of
doing their own thing.
Yeah. So it's cool when they introduce these ideas, but they haven't permeated the other books yet. And I think this is a long-term goal with these books, that they want to do like Brock, like what you said with Jeff Johns, right? Where we created the emotional spectrum and all this stuff. And just say, okay, what's the next step here? We have the Speed Force, so let's do something else with it. We have the ultraviolet lanterns. What are they called? I
think they're just called the ultraviolet.
Yeah, is that all it is? Right? Yeah,
the ultraviolet light. Yeah.
So can we add another spoke on this wheel?
They
right?
did the what was the one before in Green Lanterns? The Phantom.
Yeah, the Phantom Lantern. Which is cool. But again, will anyone else run up the stuff and use it? And that's when you know it's successful. When you have these characters, and when in New 52, when like Supergirl became a Red Lantern for a little bit, that was okay. This is finally sort of breaking out of the Green Lantern stuff, and we have.
Well, Lobo had a Red Lantern ring around his neck. Yeah,
so they've done things where other characters outside the Green Lantern core book has been affected by this. I just don't know. This stuff will affect Titans and Teen Titans and Dark and Odyssey and probably Flash.
So what I'm curious about is I've already gotten the impression that the evil Batman is going to affect beyond what Snyder does with them, which is good. But that's separate from the metals. Like, the metals are still not super well defined. So somebody has to have an idea of how to utilize and better define each of those metals in a way.
Well, but I mean, metal just finished.
I know.
So it's where you're kind of like, oh, all this stuff's going around. I'm like, yeah, there's a lot of information. There's a lot of stuff that we've gotten. It's a lot of kind of sparks for new story ideas or potential within the DC universe.
Sparked without any clear definition for a lot of it yet.
Yeah.
Well, with the metals, that's what I was saying earlier. I think it's they're interesting ideas, but we don't have I think we kind of don't have a game plan right now, other than introducing these different ideas. But I would like to see them. I think the Slow Force is amazing. I think it's a great idea, and I would love to see Williamson explore more of it. I think he's doing his own stuff in Flash, so I just don't know where that gets explored, right? But it is a lot of these big, crazy ideas that anyone can grab and use later. And I think that's Snyder's big. That's how he works. The Court of Owls has been used in a ton of stuff outside his own work, right? He's been involved with a lot of it, but he's not the only one that's written Court of Owls, right? It's all the Bat family have and it's a great addition to it. I think the metals. The science of it's very weird, so I don't see it getting picked up very much. But the characters in the plot elements that it introduces, I can see someone like Morrison using the Dark Multiverse.
It's like it's the same thing as like we have the Black Diamond.
I didn't do shit with that. It's Eclipso's an old thing, but
that's something that people can utilize and run with.
Yeah, they reintroduced it in New 52, but they didn't do anything after that arc.
But again, I think
I love Eclipso. Man, I wish more people would use Eclipso. He's a great character.
But I think that, I think it's just the potential is there for something. It's early on. So you remember reading Johns' stuff when he was just starting to expand the emotional spectrum, and it was like these teases and stuff.
But the second he expanded the emotional spectrum, you didn't necessarily know everything there was to know about
Atrocicus or
but
Johns has always been more character focused. I think Snyder's more big idea focused.
Yeah, and that's sort of that's I think we're too early to see what the real effects and stuff because I don't know if Snyder has this is what's important about each of these metals, or if it's up to somebody else to take those metals and explore what's important about each
all
of
this
those
talk.
metals.
We need to have Scott back on. We need to clarify some stuff.
Well, look at Legion of Doom, right? I mean, they're again like what they are. They're an evil reflection of the Justice League, right? So things like the Slow Force and the Ultraviolet lanterns, that is basically just evil versions of the powers they already have. So it's. Again, it's you know what I mean. A different take on.
I'll be the first one to admit the ultraviolet lantern stuff. I haven't really fully bought into yet.
Well, I just don't know where they're going with
exactly.
It, right? We still have to. It's a lot of story that it's 50 issues that we're 5 issues into.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So he's setting up a ton of stuff. But it has to play out through the run. Yeah. And the idea of Ultraviolet Lantern, cool. Slow Force, awesome. Now we have to have someone use it.
So it's interesting because like the Slow Force I buy into completely, partly because it's based on stuff that already existed.
Right.
The Ultraviolet Lantern, I think part of the reason why I don't quite get yet is it works a little too much like the current emotional spectrum in some ways, but then it also plays by its own rules in some ways, and it's not really an emotional spectrum force yet. So I don't know. I don't.
No, it's like a like I said, it's a sort of mirror reflection, right? So
my favorite thing about it is the fact that it mirrors the classic Sinestro look for that character. For me, that I liked.
Yep, that's good stuff. Yeah, I don't know where they're going with it, but I'm totally down to see. We're part of the way through the first arc, and I mean, again, a lot of this stuff I don't want to say has been explained, but there could be a rationale for a lot of it, and that's the breaking of the source wall. The source wall is the fourth wall. The source wall.
No, that's what Harley does.
Yeah.
A lot.
And it's let a lot of crazy things back out into the universe, and they're kind of all hitting him at once. Yeah. So it is supposed to feel, I think, a little crazy. But
it's the source wall blows open. You're dealing with the blast right now.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like we're going to get hit with all of this stuff, and then we're going to have to pick up the pieces afterwards and see like what's happened.
Right.
Like, was it Titans is going around picking up the aftermath of the exposure that people got in Metal.
Right.
To the dark,
the new characters.
The dark multiverse stuff. So yeah, I it's big ideas that hopefully come to fruition in a good, positive way.
Yeah. All right, that is it. We are going to wrap up here. Thank you, everyone, for listening. We have to thank our good friends on Patreon. We have a whole bunch of backers this month. Julian Titus at the Nerds of the Pants podcast.
No pants.
Pixelbit.com.
Ryan
Hess.
Don't do it the same way.
have blowhards.libsyn.com. It's a video game podcast. Check that out. Jody Lawson is Canon, the Triad Comics Anthology at triadcomicsstudio.com. Sam Chea, Craig Anderson, Joe Duff, Andrew Nelson Mendez, Darfox 8 over at Manga Machinations. Larry Davis, which is as a stand and deliver podcast, the JoJo Bizarre Adventure podcast. And do not forget Kevin Scheller, our new top tier backer at righteouscomic.com. If you want to hear Bryce reenact.
It was so
big chunk of that.
It was brutal.
Yeah, just no, it's brutal. It was amazing. Go listen to it like Bryce's 25-minute outro from last week. ComicConspiracyPodcast.com is where you can find all of these episodes that we've done here. It's good stuff on there. Some links on there to our digital storefront and other items. Geekbox.net and iTunes. Please rate and review us. The Comic Conspiracy at Geekbox.net. I actually do have a few emails I want to probably maybe read next week. Get to those next week. Patreon.com/Comic Conspiracy is where you can kick us $1 or $3 or $10 or $25 and get some cool rewards like hearing your name on this podcast, or get to take over an episode if you do the top tier backing. We'll like that. Patreon.com/Comic Conspiracy. Digital.comicsconspiracy.biz. That is our digital storefront. Crazy sales going on recently. There was a big Vertigo sale that just went on there. So if you read your comics digitally, their Comixology, please go to digital.comicsconspiracy.biz and pick them up from us there. ConspiratorBrock.com. That's Brock's blog.
You forgot one thing.
And Video Pullus. What's that?
You forgot the Comics Conspiracy YouTube channel, where you can also check out.
Yeah, I'll get there.
But yes, I do have a www.conspiratorBrock.com/comics or not Comics Conspiracy.
And how about
my blog and video pull list?
YouTube.com.
Check it out.
ComicsConspiracy. Cool. You should go to youtube.com/comicsconspiracy where you can listen to these episodes as well. They're all on YouTube if you prefer listening that way. I did put up.
Make sure to click subscribe.
Yeah, smash that subscribe button. Comment below. I did. Smash that subscribe button. We did put up a few of our older videos that we have on there, and I would like to start doing some other stuff. Maybe on Wednesdays or Tuesdays, I'll put some videos up of some upcoming products, things like that. And just little short clips. See what happens. Where was I? ComicsConspiracy.biz. That is our website for our store, and we have a huge online storefront there where you can order physical comic books packed by Brock, shipped to you directly. Jump on there, ComicsConspiracy.biz. We have tons of stuff. All of our graphic novels are on there. All our current issues from Marvel and DC are on there. I'm about to start the independent, so a lot of them should be up there already.
Toys.
All the toys and statues are up there. Charlie took care of those. So, lots of great stuff up there. ComicsConspiracy.biz. Go check out Wanderers in the Fourth Dimension. That's Charlie's Doctor Who podcast. Lots of good Doctor Who news. And new season starts soon. Can't wait.
Level of excitement for the new season of Doctor Who, Charlie? Tons of excitement.
13 out of 13.
Trying to avoid all the leaks.
I heard they leaked the interior of the TARDIS. Yeah, I avoided everything. I haven't seen anything, so I have no idea. Etsy.com/shop/Leanne Hill Art. That is my wife, Leanne. That is her Etsy store. You should go buy some of her art and prints from there. She does commissions and original stuff. Really good stuff. Check that out. Ryan Higgins, Ryan. That is me on Twitter. Brock is Brock Sager. Bryce is Larson Bryce. Toby is Toby XI. Charlie's Insanity in Chaos. The store is Comics Con Store. Please give us all a follow on Twitter. And go check out Geekbox, Comedy Button, Manga Machinations, and then Infinite Binge over on YouTube. Those are all our different podcasts and affiliated things with people that we like. So thank you, everyone, for checking out this podcast. Hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you next week.